way of being able to bring a community together, bring people together and knowledge together to be able to share. And that's the main thing that I really want to do with Fight Creative.
The Fight Creative Podcast, hosted by Seb Muirhead and Chan Griffin.
Welcome to the Fight Creative Podcast. I'm Chan Griffin, and this is Tara Macken, the extraordinaire, the most brilliant person ever. We've been working together for quite a while now, over the years, on and off.
8 years, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's been 8 years.
Wow, long time.
It's been great, almost 10 years. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that indeed.
I feel like this interview would be a whole lot better if we had some wine and we had a more casual setting, because why not?
Why not, indeed. So, I guess, Tara, it would be great if you sort of told us a little bit about your journey, just to get started. A lot of people won't know who you are, and then the people who do will go, oh my gosh, it's Tara. She's so great. So, but I would really love to learn about how you got into stunts, what you sort of thought you were going to do before stunts, and then like what happened to make you sort of go, oh wow, actually I really like this, I could make this a career.
Great. So basically I've been doing stunts now for, oh my gosh, like almost like 18 years, if not kind of longer. And every time I give people a time reference, they're like, wait, did you start when you were like 9? Oh, not at all. But in terms of being a performer, I've been a performer and an athlete my whole life.
Yeah.
And so, wrap it all up. I'll make it really quick because it's pretty long.
Yeah.
Long story short, I grew up doing dance and theater and gymnastics and just all around athletics in school and all that stuff. And I was going to school in the Philippines. I went to school Brunei, Kuwait, the Philippines. But when I was in the Philippines, I was doing theater. We did a lot of dance. And then with the dancing, we did like a lot of live events and live shows. Because if you know anything about Filipino culture, you dance or you sing or you act. That's all you do. And so I took the dancing route. And so surprisingly, when I meet martial artists, they're like, oh, you're Filipino. Do you do FMA? I'm like, I didn't get into that until I got into stunts, because in the Philippines, it wasn't cool back then to do anything masculine. You just do feminine stuff.
Right.
But I did a lot of, back in the day, high school, I did a lot of commercial work. I started doing commercials and stuff because easy way to make money, sure. And then I graduated high school and I was like, okay, well, I got to go. I still want to be a performer, but I got to get an education. I don't really know what I want to do. And I don't have any discernible skill sets. And I'm actually kind of lost in general, but I know I need to have an education. And so back in the heyday, I was like, well, I could go to Australia for an education. And I was like, oh, but then I'm stuck in a rock. Okay. If I stay in the Philippines, I know what my life would look like because I'm doing it already.
Yeah.
If I go anywhere in Asia, I have to be good at math and science, which I am terrible at. If I go to Europe, I need to pick like a study immediately. You need to know if you want to go into like theater or business or whatever. If you go to school in America, you have 2 years of undergraduate to fuck off. And then you can pick a degree. So I was like, oh my God, that's a great way to like not know what you want to do and kind of get into it.
Yeah, sure.
So I went to college in the States, theater, obviously. Theater with an emphasis of dance because that was kind of my thing, especially leaving like the gymnastics world and all that stuff. And then when I graduated college, because I'm not now I'm an American citizen. Yeah. Back in the heyday, I wasn't. So if for all my foreigners out there, you probably know this. If you work in any foreign country, you need to have a work visa. And so when I graduated, I was like, okay, well, I like this. I want to still work in America. How the hell can I do that? Okay, I got to get a visa. And so I did this 1-year OPT visa for for optional practical training. So it gives you 1 year just to basically be a barista. That's basically what it is.
Wow.
You know, and so I took that opportunity to move to like Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
So I bought a piece of shit car for $2,000 on Craigslist.
Wow.
A Daewoo Lanos, drove from Northern California in this crappy little car to LA to try to make it.
Yeah, like every other person.
Like every other person. And at that time, you know, every day my parents would call me and be like, what are you doing? What do you mean you're just moving to LA? Wait, you're not an actor. You don't, like, what? And you call all your friends back home. They're like, why don't you just come back home to the Philippines? Like, just be like an artista over here. Like, what are you gonna, like, do it over there. And you just hear so much negative feedback because nobody can quantify your work because there's nothing on paper. You just have a dream, and dreams aren't tangible. So you're like, no, I want to go do this acting thing. And they're like, yeah, acting what? Like, you don't have a resume, you don't have a shit, you have a couple of theater projects. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? If everybody's coming at me with this negative attitude, I'm just not going to talk to anybody, and I'm just going to work at it and then see what happens. So I basically didn't talk to anybody really about what I was doing because everybody doesn't want. It's weird. It's like a lot of people don't want you to succeed because they're looking at you through the lenses of their own experiences and how they would approach your situation. Because they want to pick like the safe route in terms of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. If I'm going to fail, this is a great time to fail.
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose. My whole thing was like, well, if it doesn't work out, what's the worst thing? I go back home. Great.
Yeah.
You know? And so moved to LA, and then you're just like, you're looking on Craigslist. Remember Craigslist?
Yeah.
You're looking on Craigslist, you're looking at weird job postings. You go to any audition, they're all absolutely dog shit terrible. You have no money for gas, you sleep in your car a couple of times. You know, you just do whatever you can to figure out how to stay working. You know, you even go to the process of like, well, I don't have an agent, I gotta get auditions. How do I get auditions? I was pretty lawless back then, and I was like, okay, well, if my friend has an audition, I'll crash her audition and pretend that they just didn't get my submission on time. Can you double check the roster? I'm pretty sure I'm in the list. And then I'll crash every other audition in the casting office just because what are the chances? They can just say, bugger off, or you might actually do a good job and book something.
Yeah. So amazing. Like, so much confidence to be able to do that. But I guess you had nothing to lose either.
Exactly.
Right?
Like,
everything to gain.
Yeah. If you think about it this way, if you're the worst at everything, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? You're already at ground zero. So I did that. And I remember going to a couple auditions and, you know, not booking shit. Like you go to a dance audition, right, for some live show. There's 100 dancers, and the choreographer already has the 10 dancers they're planning on hiring already. And you're in the back, and you can't see the choreography, and you're learning from the guy in front of you, and the choreography that he's learning is wrong.
Yeah, right.
You know? And then you think to yourself, well, I'm never going to book this. But it's not about booking this. It's about just getting better at the art of auditioning. And then also using that opportunity as a class. Everything's a class.
Yeah.
Because you can't afford to go to classes because you're broke. So if you're like, well, if I go to every dance audition or fight audition, those are all like free classes.
Yeah.
You know? I'll get more confidence. I'll know how to win a room. I'll learn what works, what doesn't work. And I didn't have to pay to be here. I can just show up.
That's so amazing because a lot of people would look at it glass half empty. They'd go to the audition, they'd be all nervous, they'd be like trying to remember lines, they'd be trying to remember their dance steps, what's going to happen, think about all the anxious things. But you went the other way and thought of it as more of an opportunity, as something that you could utilize and use to be able to grow.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
No, and I think like anytime you have that opportunity, it's a gift. Even if you fail, that's a gift. Because then you're like, well, why didn't it work? Like, why did I break down? Why did I forget my lines? Why did I stumble? And then you was like, is it me? Is it something about how I approach the way I enter that room? Or is it because the reader wasn't reading right, or like what was it? You know?
Sure.
And so you just get better at it. And I think if you're an artist, if you're an actress, if you're a dancer, if you're a martial artist, 90% of your job isn't being on set, it's getting the job. That is the hardest part, just get the job.
Yeah, sure.
That can take you years before you get your first job, right? And the thing is, once you get your first job, is how to keep the job. Everybody can get lucky once, but can you get lucky 10 times? Do you have like the tenacity to just be good enough to be hired by the same person again and again?
Yeah.
So it's like constantly just checking in and evaluating and just seeing what works.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was auditioning, and I was like, there was like a switch in me, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just throw this statistic out there. I have a 90% callback rate. Like, I will go in there, you will call me back.
Yeah.
It's not about getting the audition. I just want to know that you're going to give me a call back.
Yeah.
And I did.
Wow.
And I pretty much booked everything. And so me starting off into stunt work and all this stuff was because I wasn't going to get hired because nobody knows who I am. I have 0 credits. I'm just a dime a dozen in a sea of talent, like talent. And I know I'm not an elite gymnast. I'm not the best martial artist in the world. I'm not like a Formula One race car driver. But you know what? I can outperform anybody. I can outperform, and I'm committed. So I got that going for me.
Yeah, and those are two things that are probably more important than anything else in a way, you know?
And I feel like a lot of people get in the way because they have titles to their name, or they're like, you know, you were like a 10-year elite martial artist, and, you know, you have this ego about you because of all this life you had being something. But once again, if you just treat yourself like there is nothing, then you just go out there and, as cliche as it sounds, you do the best you can. Yeah. And because you never know what casting is looking for. You never know what your boss is looking for. They just need somebody to get the job done. Yeah. Like, they're actively looking for you to succeed, you know? So
yeah, for sure.
All my jobs were because I auditioned.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm all like, I told my agent at the time, anything physical, put me in. Like, anything is a comedic physical. As long as it's physical, it will work. Yeah. Like, I remember I was doing this audition, and it was for this Justin Timberlake collaboration for Audi, right? And they wanted him, they're looking for a stunt double, to do a little like fight scene with him. And mind you, at the time, I wasn't like a good fighter. I was just learning. And like, I looked at the audition room. I looked at the girls in the waiting room. And you can tell just by their shoes how good they were. You know, they're like, this bitch is wearing Fayus. Okay, we got a wushu girl here. We got this girl here. We got all these people. Yeah. Like, the way you stand or sit, I know exactly what kind of art form you come from. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah. The audition's a fight with Justin Timberlake. So at the time, the person who went me to the audition, I was like, yo, when they call my name, go into the room with me, start throwing me around. He's like, okay. I'm like, great. So I walk into the audition. I'm like, hey, my name's Tara Macken, and this is the form I'm going to show you. So I brought him in, and I was like, just start chucking me all over the place, which he did. Yeah. And obviously, I booked it. So
yeah, awesome. Yes.
And then from that, I'll meet the stunt coordinator, because nobody knows who you are. So you got to introduce yourself and all this stuff. And then, okay, I can blab all day.
No, I love it.
Another time. See, back in the heyday, I sound like an old curmudgeon. In LA, they had this thing called hustling. Yeah. You know? And hustling, it's a very Los Angeles term. It's where you literally stand outside, you hunt for productions. You stand outside studios, you go to whatever set you can find.
So different
and you
from
wait
here.
for hours and hours and hours for the opportunity to get a face-to-face meeting with a coordinator. And half the time you get shooed off by security, you won't even get in. You felt like a worker trying to get work at like the Home Depot. And I was hustling this one show, and it was Sons of Anarchy, right? And I didn't have an opportunity to meet the coordinator. He was busy doing something. So the PA, the production assistant, said, just leave it with me. I'll drop it off in his trailer. I'm like, great, perfect, cool. Drops off the trailer. Coordinator calls me. He's like, I don't know who you are. Don't have any credits to your name. You have a good look? They're looking for, it's a stunt acting role, 5 and under, so just 5 lines. You basically say, 1 line, you point a gun, guy headbutts you, you fall to the ground. I was like, okay. And you need like a Latina gangster, like a Latina side piece. I'm like, cool, I got this. I got this. And so I go to the audition, and once again, it was one of my first auditions in LA. And I learned to tone down the wardrobe choices. Because I rock up to the audition in full Cholita whore outfit, like makeup, earrings, fishnets.
Just went full.
I went full reach.
Full blow.
All these like stunt actresses and actresses, they're just like normal clothing. I'm like, oh my God, because I'm from the theater performance world. So when you audition, you come ready. You go large, right? You go hard. I'm like, I went too hard. Oh my God. Oh my God. And the thing is, and I'm sure people who audition, you hear people in the room auditioning, right? And so it gets in your head, you're like, oh my God, I was gonna read it like that, but fuck, okay, I gotta change my approach. I only have like a couple lines. Okay, cool. And so I get in the room, right? You have the guy recording, he's your reader, he's gonna feed you some lines. You have the sofa full of people judging you, standard. And me being green as hell and coming from theater, the scene opens up with the guy headbutting, you take a reaction, and you deliver lines. Yeah. It's like, puta bitch, something like really quick and easy. And so and I have like 6-inch hooker heels on. He gives me a headbutt, and I take the biggest taco of my life.
Oh.
Nobody asked for this.
Wow.
I just went boom. So, if you're filming, they only see your head, right?
Yeah.
This is for cast tape, right? And I'm like, boom. And I do this big old reaction, get up, say my lines.
Wow.
And you see everybody behind the sofa like this.
That's amazing.
Needless to say, I ended up booking that role.
Wow. Well, because they would have remembered you like crazy.
That was crazy. I booked it.
Was that one of your first?
It was one of my first roles.
Wow.
So I booked it, and then I came in for a 5 and under 1-day role. And then they ended up writing me into 7 episodes.
Oh,
so I had a 7-episode character arc playing the bad guy's henchwoman that ends up stealing the girl, getting into altercations, doing all this shit, right?
Yeah.
And I would tell the stunt coordinator at the time, I'm like, Steve Davison, by the way, he's a legend. Like, I do stunts. He's like, whatever, actor. I'm like, no, but I do. You're gonna believe me. He's like, okay, have fun at your table read. I'm like, motherfucker. So I kept on auditioning as an actress because like, well, I can only do stunts if I keep on booking acting roles. So I'll just do that until I just can do stunts.
Yeah. Oh,
So it's been this fun little marriage
journey.
of ridiculousness.
Yeah. How
So,
interesting. So what? Like you obviously went in very tenacious, like with everything that you do. Do you have a singular moment where you think that things switched for you, or do you think you've always had this sort of personality or the way that you see life? Like, do you think you learnt it off of your parents, or where did it come from? This amazing energy.
Thank you. I don't know. I think it's a culmination of just like my family, where I grew up. I grew up all over the world.
Do you think it evolved, or do you think it was something that it was just always there from a young age?
I think it was pretty much always there. I think maybe being the middle child and trying to get attention, I don't know. Or, our whole family's a bunch of jokers to begin with. And
It's awesome.
I've always been extremely outgoing and like, first of all, I was born in a car in Kuwait.
Wow.
I know. And then like
So very tough upbringing?
No, not at all. No, it was wonderful. Right. But that's just a funny tidbit of information. Okay. No, not at all. It was funny. Super awesome. But yeah, just always been very outgoing and not really...
Glass half full all the time, it feels like.
Very much. No, but it's like I competed at all these sports, but I never cared about the idea of winning. I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like lasted with me for everything because I never focused on it. Like when I did gymnastics, it wasn't about winning. I actually lost 90% of my gymnastics meets. I basically did it because I liked the leotards and I wanted to travel. That was it. And I liked personal attention. And I went in knowing, I'm all like, I'm the worst gymnast here. I actually don't care, but I'm going to put on a really good show. It's going to be really funny. It's going to be great.
So, like, did you ever get hard on yourself when you lost things like that, or?
No, not really.
No, wow.
No, because it doesn't matter. What does it matter? A trophy, you have a collection of trophies. Cool. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of trophies at home. Does it matter? No. Did you have fun? Did you not have fun?
Yeah, sure.
And I think the same thing applies when it comes to martial arts. And I don't know, I have a lot of friends, obviously, who are like amazing martial artists or more. And then I have some other friends who do martial arts, but they're all in it for like the trophies and the accolades of it. Right. And it's very interesting to see the different levels of martial arts. We have some people that are just about the art of learning martial arts and, the philosophy of it and how that evolves and the purpose and, living a true martial arts way as opposed to like, well, I'm just here because I'm the world champion at this kata, which is cool if that's what you're into.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just so interesting. Like I find it amazing how this way of being, because it's like I don't find it's a very common way of people looking at life, and I believe it's something that needs to be in everyone's life as much as possible, just because it's a beautiful way of looking at things instead of setting all these expectations of happiness in a way. Like I must achieve this to be happy, or I must win to be happy, you know. But for you, it doesn't even feel like that.
Well, I feel like maybe because like I grew up in Kuwait, Brunei, the Philippines, right? So there's like more to life than just things that you can achieve as a singular person. You know, it's about like your community, your environment. Like you should be, you know, very happy where you are and like how all the, you know, be blessed with all the shit you have, right?
Yeah, sure.
So that's more important than just doing something just to fulfill essentially your ego. That's all what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And I do know a lot of Americans or Westerners that really need to have benchmarks to define success.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and it's a very Western mentality where they're like, well, I'm only good if I can win this marathon, for example, or I'm only good if I make this much money a year, or I'm only good if this happens.
Yeah, definitely.
But then you kind of miss just the life of everything if you're so focused on something that's not really tangible.
Yes.
It's just a concept.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know. I think humor is pretty good. I think humor is pretty important. Without it, then why are we doing anything?
Yeah, yeah.
I think wine's pretty great. You know?
So, when you went into stunts and you started to get more work and everything happened, did you start veering away from the acting, or did you always you just kept your doors open to everything?
I tell this to everybody. I'm like, it's not acting or stunts. It's called being a performer. You're a performer. Any stunt person who tells me, oh, I don't act, I don't say lines, then get off the fucking camera.
Yeah.
That's your whole purpose. You know? Like, if you can't act, then don't be here.
Yeah.
You're a physical actor. You know, look at Buster Keaton. Look at, you know, Mr. Bean. They're some of the best actors in our generation. They don't say a goddamn thing. They're just stuntmen.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to check yourself when you say like, oh, I don't act. You are acting. You're on camera. You're having a performance.
Yeah.
It's about being able to capture an audience. If you can't capture an audience, why would I pay money to watch you?
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And do you think that a lot of the things that you developed over time, like your acting ability, your stunt ability, came through auditioning and failing and going and trying all of these different things? Or did you do certain training to, you train all the time from what I know?
I'm
You're an
obsessive.
obsessed
I can't help it.
person
I am. I can't
stuff.
stop moving.
Do you
It's
have
annoying.
things that you set yourself up with to be able to learn and just go in that direction? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Like when I was in college, I did theater, right? So I felt like that was a good basis to understand the concept of what acting is. And I think a lot of people miss that. They think it's just a matter of reading lines, but being able to understand the concept of like breaking down the script, working on character, and doing things like to that degree so that when you do read a script and you do think about character, you can relate to the actors you work with, especially when it comes to teaching them how to be physical.
Yeah.
And just getting to the heart of what matters for a particular movie. So I think that's important. And a lot of people miss this because they just want to go straight to the physical because that's what us as stunt people want to do.
Yeah.
I think every stunt person should take an improv class. Because I did this, I was coordinating this commercial a few months ago, and I was able to sit into a casting room and watch a bunch of actors do this comedy piece, physical comedy. And I brought 5 of my stunt people into audition. And it was so funny watching stunt people audition compared to actors because the actors were so free to be characters with zero care that they let the character take over the movement. And it was pretty cool to watch. The stunt people came in like, us, and they kind of missed the whole point. It's like, we know you're athletic, we know you're brilliant, but play this character.
Yeah, sure.
And just kind of have fun with it. And then the movement will come from that, as opposed to like, I can do a flip.
Yeah.
Unless it's called for, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
totally.
I think that's super important. And then in terms of stunts, I feel like if you're trying to get into stunts, you know, the more you do, the better. Because like anything, even if you try something you don't like it, at least now you know you don't like it, right? So, you know, you want to learn fight, go learn every fight on the planet. You know, you're a stunt person, you should know how to drive, go learn how to drive. You know, maybe get your driver's license, like so you can go scuba dive. What if there's water jobs? So there are markers that you should do, I feel, as a stunt performer just to test out to see if this is something you want to do.
Definitely.
Because then at that point, you're like, okay, I did all this water work. I did a job. I took a water job. Fucking hate water jobs. But now you know this about yourself. So the next time somebody calls you, you won't be like, I got this, and then muck up on the day.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to just go for yourself and learn something new. Even if it's for like, let's say, 6 months, but give it a good, honest try. You know what I mean? Like,
Definitely.
You may hate, and I tell people,
you can't just rock up once and then go, oh, that's not for me, right?
No. And I personally have a kick out of being the worst person in the room. I love being the worst person in the room because that means I have so much room to grow.
Yeah.
And I also like proving that I can be the most improved, you know?
Yeah. But that's healthy ego in a way, right? Like, because it helps you like grow and become better, but not at the expense of anyone else, you know?
Like I've had, you know, I teach a lot, right? So whenever people, when they come to learn and you're like, okay, so today we're going to learn this like fight combo, blah, blah, blah. And the first thing they say, oh, well, I know, I've done like Muay Thai. I'm like, cool. I love that for you. Yeah, but it was like 10 years ago. I took like 3 classes. I'm like, great. Because we're not doing that right now. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, just leave you got the door. Be open to learning.
Yes.
And just whether or not it works for you, just give that a good, honest try. And give that methodology a good try for like a couple of months or a year. And if it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, now you learn.
Yeah, for sure. So like, just to summarize a little bit of what you're saying, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like dancers and maybe martial artists that want to get into the industry, one of the first things that you would try and recommend them do is to get into the acting side of things and the performance side of things, right?
You're already physically gifted. You're already talented.
Yeah, to try and just break the inhibitions, because a lot of, you know, martial artists are so disciplined, and dancers as well, but they express in one way very well, like physically. Yeah. But to deviate from that, it takes a little bit of effort, right?
Well, imagine, for example, like, okay, you're playing a character, there's a little bit of a fight. Like, and it's a sloppy little fight. And 2 characters, they're drunk, right? So I don't want us, but I want you to be like, you know, just little things that make character. You still have to be talented. You still need to know how to like, you know, be safe and pull your punches, but you still need to be convincing in the scene of what that is.
Yeah, for
sure. And you know what? It's super fun. It's super fun. It gets you really uncomfortable, and it's good. It's good to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, once you're uncomfortable, you get to learn what it is about you that's making you uncomfortable. You get over that hurdle.
Yeah, totally. And then you grow from that, right?
I would like to think so. Yeah. Or you don't, and then you're like, fuck this, it didn't work for me. You know?
So then... because we've discussed some of those people, like those professions, what would you say to people that are actors looking to get into stunts? Like, what are some of the things that they should maybe focus on first, do you think?
I think they should focus on rolling and falling, in general, protecting yourself.
Sure.
You know, like anytime I have an actor, I train them a lot in just doing shoulder rolls and weird rolls and stuff like this, but I always explain to them why I'm doing things. Because I feel like for most actors, they're very cerebral. You need to explain things, so you need to process things. Yeah. If you just give them movement is movement. This makes no sense. It's just movement. But if you explain to them, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So like, for example, you're rolling in the ground and they're like, oh, why am I rolling? And we're like, I'm in, you know, we're on the street and I kick you in the freaking stomach, right? And as soon as I hit your stomach slightly, you start rolling on the ground. You get back up and I'll kick you again in the stomach and you roll on the ground.
Yeah, giving them intention.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
You know, so stuff like that. So I think is important because everybody thinks that's all punching and kicking. Sure. Honey, you'd be lucky to punch and kick. You'd be lucky to punch and kick if you're in stunts. 90% of your job is falling the F down and doing it about 20 times over. Yes. You know, all my actor friends are just like, I want to be a superhero. When's the last time you gone to the gym? Do you lift weights? No. Do you do plyometrics? No. Do you eat healthy? No. Do you go to bed early? No. Why do you want to be a superhero? Oh, well, if you want a pose, I can teach you a pose. If you want a 3-point stance and look up and feel cool, I can give you that all day. But if you actually want to be that person, you got to live
There's a lot more to it.
You know what I mean? You got to. Yeah. If not, you're just setting yourself up for like super failure. Or you're being annoying. You're an annoying actor who comes in like well, I've done Krav Maga. You're like, cool, whatever. Anyway, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Love this for you.
So, because in America, I guess there is no real grading system, because here in Australia, we have a grading system and
Yes.
we meet certain requirements to be able to get in. So in America, for the people who are new that have just started out, maybe you've done 1 or 2 jobs, and they're all excited and starry-eyed and stuff, but is there anything that you would sort of give advice to them that would help them along their way to grow and become better, or learn a bit more about this industry, you know?
Always. Step 1, shut your pie hole. Shut it, nobody cares.
I should write that down.
Shut the pie hole. You can't be learning if you're jabbering on about absolutely nothing. We all know you got no experience, so don't try to pretend that you do.
Yeah.
Zip it. You know, you learn more just by observing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I remember when I was starting off, I'm like, I have nothing to offer. I'm just going to shut up and try to learn. And try to learn simple things, even from the other crew member, like, what's a C-stand? They keep on calling C-stand. What the fuck is it? What's an apple box? I don't know these things.
Yeah.
You know, so just be professional. Be open to learning. Also, this might rub people the wrong way. I'm sorry if it's offending some people. I'm an American. I can say that now. So it is what it is. Stunt isn't about being an influencer. If you want to be an influencer, go influence. And I feel like a lot of people in the last few years have been trying to get into stunt work because it will boost a social presence.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
And when you come in with that mentality, then you're not doing your job. And ultimately, your job is safety, right?
Yeah.
You can get the accolades and cool things can happen to you as a byproduct of being good at your job, not because you're trying to seek praise.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to know when you're doing stunts, it's technically a blue-collar job. If you want to get praise, be an actor. If you want to do stunts, half the time it's like carrying a pad, it's editing, it's doing, you know, sitting dead in the rain and getting sepsis. It's not glamorous. And I tell people all the time, because even some stunt people come up to me like, Tara, how do you do this? Like, I thought I'll be doing all this stuff, but the actress is doing it and they're not good. And I'm like, well, honey, it was never about you. That's why we're in stunts. If you want it to be about you, then work towards being an actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or produce and create your own content.
For sure.
Which is totally great.
Which is great. And that's
great.
More towards the influencer side of things.
Yeah.
It's very different from being a stunt person, I think. A successful one, anyway.
You know, like you need to, if you, you know, like I've had a lot of stunt people being like, well, you know, I'm really trying to like, you know, the algorithm's not really following me and I'm trying to like really boost my numbers. And I'm like, but that has nothing to do with right now climbing a fence. The job is called climbing a fence and making sure the fence is secure. So that's the job.
For sure.
Get paid a lot of money to do this, so let's just do that.
Yeah, and do it well.
We're not getting a free T-shirt.
And shut the pie hole.
Shut the pie hole. Well. Yeah.
Do your job, right? Yeah, it's crazy as well because a lot of people think stunts is so glamorous, but 95% of the time, I would have to say it's just not. It's you might be sitting in a costume for 3 days in the rain, just in the background, but that's your job, so you do it well, right?
Yeah.
And you close your mouth and do it, you know?
And a lot of people understand this, obviously, but I feel like for a lot of new people, they see the glitz and the glamours, they see all these superhero movies and they want to be those characters. And I totally get that. You should be enamored, you should be inspired to want to do these things.
Yeah.
But you should understand that a job's job is a job.
Yes.
It's not all glitz and glamour. Sometimes you just have to put your head in the sand and get it done and just be a team member.
Yeah, for sure. And that's your bread and butter. That's what's going to get you more work later on because you're a good person to be around, you're professional, and you have a good work ethic, right? Yeah. Did you find that you learnt that along the way through some hard lessons, or do you think it just you were always like that because of your personality?
I think there's multiple lessons along the way where you basically, you know, you get checked, right? Or people pull you aside and they check you, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know I was doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was like, you know, crossing some boundaries or I wasn't staying in my own lane, which is important too. Stay in your lane.
Yes.
You know, you're like, oh, I thought I was being helpful, but maybe I wasn't.
Yeah.
Or maybe I said something that was really insensitive, but I thought I was having a laugh. So you do get checked along the way.
Totally. And it is really hard to find the middle ground. And I guess you've worked with so many different crews that I'm guessing, like this is my guess, that every crew works a little bit differently and are sensitive more so to some things than others as well.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you got to you have to learn how to adjust unfortunately, you got to also learn how to adjust your personality. Sometimes you don't bring your personality to every show you go to and you realize, okay, with this crew, it's shut up, don't talk. Great, I'm just a body. Other shows, it's collaborative and it's, they want your ideas and they want you to create. And other shows are like, it's a party.
Yeah.
So you never know. So you got to also just read the room.
Read the room.
Super important. Things you should always know. Read the room, shut your pie hole. Also, common sense isn't common. I know, it sucks. But, when things happen, you're like, what? It's common sense. And you got to remind people, hey, man, common sense ain't common. There was a job, and this coordinator hired this brand new girl, right, to ride a street bike down a road. She did not show up for work for 3 hours. Could not find her. Finally, we were able to get a hold of her because she partied the night before because it was a 4th of July party, and she was just too drunk and slept through her alarms and didn't wake up till 3 hours later. So once again, common sense ain't common. So have a think about that.
Yeah, for sure. And, I've experienced that too with other performers, people just not showing up.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
And then also, I think for young stunt performers, especially if you're a physical performer, it's extremely important to understand and to be communicative about rigging and wire work. A lot of people don't have the capacity to ask questions. It's okay to ask questions.
Yes.
Because that's how you'll learn. But a lot of people just jump online but not actually understand how things are done. It is your right as a performer to understand what you're doing. You should.
Definitely.
So I think I was told when I was starting out, become best friends with your riggers because they have your hands in their life. So you should understand how the rig works, basically general physics, and just figure out what you're doing because you should be responsible. And everyone's responsible, but ultimately it's about safety. So I think as a young performer, if you want to avoid injuries, it's very important to understand and rigging and to speak to your riggers and just figure out what you're doing and to do things in a safe, timely manner.
Yes.
And do not let people rush you.
Yes.
At all, ever.
And know that you can
important.
speak up, right? Not feel like you have to, not question anything, especially with rigging, I think,
Especially with rigging, because when you're new, you're the first person on the line because you're a new body that can get destroyed. I've been that person so many times.
Yes.
So, you're allowed to ask for a weight bag test, just so you can see the flight and the trajectory of what they're planning to do.
Yes.
You're allowed to ask for the PSI to be at a certain level or starting from the ground up. You're allowed to be actually, can I have a much bigger catcher? Because I feel like I'm going to pass that catcher like a crazy person.
Definitely.
Can I have some 5 other people spotting? Because I don't know where I'm going to go. So think about these things. And you're allowed to be actually, while we're rehearsing, can I get 3 cameras on this so we can watch and review what it is? And we can see how to adjust this so it works.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it, didn't work. Okay, do it again. No, let's actually think why it didn't work. Is it my body? Did I throw my limb out?
Yeah.
And that instigated rotation that I didn't intend to? Did he jump off the ladder too high? Did he pop me too soon? So you got to think of it like a science experiment.
Yeah, for sure. So. It's really hard to know, and it is a collaborative thing, rigging. As a performer on a line, you need to know how to give feedback as well as what questions to ask.
It can, and the thing is, but people don't understand, it can literally end your career in an instant if you just didn't speak up or didn't pay attention to the safety of things. You have a vast network of people and you should feel free to talk to everybody.
Yes.
But even something as simple as falling off a balcony into a catcher. If the catcher's not bigger, get some boxes, make it bigger. If nobody's down there safetying you, find some grips. Find people to catch you. You know, because you should always watch your back first and foremost.
Yeah,
I think it's super
definitely.
important.
Not, you know, you're the one responsible for yourself. Like, no one else is going to look after yourself as well as you do.
Yeah.
You know.
And also, like, you know, I remember when I was learning scuba diving, right? They say accidents happened, like, if 3 safety precautions don't get met. 1, okay, you're pretty good. 2, ooh, now you're like chancing danger. 3, you're fucked. So I think the same thing applies to stunts. When things go down, you're like, whatever. Who was watching it? How is this set up? You know, there's things that can happen. So if you take time, you don't rush things, and you think about, did everything get done safely? Everybody gets to go home, and they get to work again.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, safety is pretty much number one, right, with stunts.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not only your own safety, but it's looking out for others too, and making sure that your whole stunt team and the whole production is safe, right? Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to go home healthy and happy, and go home to family if they have it.
No one deserves to be injured or to end their lives over a crappy movie or a good movie. It's not worth it. So everybody has time to calm down.
Yes, for sure.
And to think about things.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously you want to listen or watch an interview that's all inspiring and it gets you jazzed and you're like, yeah, I want to do stunts. But you do need to know the reality of stunts, which is you're there to do the hard stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. What would you say to, because, you know, for me, I know that when I was first starting out, I was so, not narrow-minded, but so focused on, this is really what I want to do. So I'm just training, I'm focused, I'm just doing this. And it was all-encompassing.
We've all been there, honey, trust me.
For sure.
Oh, my God. I was like a psychopath.
Yeah. But do you feel like now that you've sort of probably come out of that end of things? Because I guess, you know, you kind of need to go through some of that to become good in a way, right?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, if you go too far, it can break people, I feel like. And,
and I have seen a lot of people emotionally broken.
Yes.
Where like, sure, you are where you want to be. You're at the top of the mountain, whatever mountain you decided is the top. In terms of finance and work and accolades, great, you're at the top. You're miserable. Your emotional life's in shambles. Your social life sucks. Yeah. You know? So, like, I think mental health is super important.
Yeah.
I think doing stuff for yourself is really good. You know, I feel like you need to date yourself. I think it's super important to, like, go for the morning ocean swims.
Yes.
Do something for yourself. Not for production, not for stunts, but just for you. You know? Go take a pottery lesson.
Yeah.
Go for morning beach walks. Play trivia night.
Yeah. You seem really good at balancing that stuff out. Like, from what I've seen, like, is there, like, because I'm sure it probably was the other way around before, right?
Before I was like obsessively insane, where, you know, you just want to like, you want to learn and learn. You get done with learning, you're still learning, and you're like, you know, oh, I got to run like 3 times like a day. I got to like be a certain weight. I got to not eat. I got to like be really strict to my diet. You know, you're just like in it. And then you realize that's not important.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like, for me anyway, the more balanced I can get with everything, with life and work, the better performer I become, or the better fight choreographer and coordinator I become. But as soon as I tip the scales just that little too much, everything just starts falling apart. Like,
well, yeah, because now like there's no balance, and then you expect people to be on your level because you're intense. You expect your team to be intense, and that's not fair to them because they're not where you are and they don't have your stressors, nor should they. Yeah. You know, but you're putting a very negative energy out there. So I think it's really important. Yeah,
definitely. I guess for me as well, and your message here is it's really important for everyone to try and pull themselves back sometimes if they do feel like they're going too far, you know, so that for the longevity of your career and your, I guess, just way of being, right? Yeah. Pretty amazing.
I know. It is funny, though. Like, money makes people crazy. Money makes people do and think weird things. I've noticed this with people. Like, you're cool, but if, you know, money happens, and it's like a a stress, right? So people's personalities change because work is money. So it becomes, I don't know, weird.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And I
something
see
you
it
also
as
need
well.
to check yourself too. Or like, am I doing this because I'm actually angry, or am I doing this because it's a money thing? You gotta,
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's funny as well when you first sort of starting and you get a full-time job and then you have a dry spell. A lot of the time you're like, I really want to be working now. I should be working. And it's hard to actually enjoy the time off sometimes because work will come, right?
Yeah.
It's a weird sort of love-hate thing. It's almost like, withdrawals from drugs in a way. Like
Oh,
the stunt
absolutely.
industry.
I
It's
mean,
so
we're all like
bizarre.
psychotic if we're just doing this in general.
Yeah, totally. I feel like we are a bit crazy. But,
You have to be comfortable in the unknown. And even like when I was starting out in this business, because you're coming from school, you're like, well, I know my schedule because you have semesters and this and winter breaks. And so you can plan your life. If you do this, there is no planning, which I tell my family all the time because they're like, oh, can you come for Christmas or this wedding or this party? I'm like, I'll tell you the day before. I can't promise you anything.
For sure.
It's just, you're basically on call all day, every day. You can visit me. Will I be available? I don't know, but you can visit me.
Yeah, it's just the way this industry is, isn't it?
And then maybe I won't work for a year. I don't know. You never know.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people who are just starting to become new to doubling, and any tips or tricks that you could help them with how far they should go with attentiveness to actors, do's and don'ts of how to treat them and things like that?
I think, like everything else, read the room, and it's all based on like personalities and how to handle people. I think don't take anything they say personally because they're emotional beings. So if they lash out or if this is happening, they're going through a lot. So just, it's like taking care of a toddler. It really is. Sometimes they're happy, sometimes they're sad. You just want to make sure they don't run around with scissors.
Yeah. Sure.
And you want to praise them when they're doing good.
Yes.
And be like, I got you. Give me this sword. Go sit over there. Have some snackies.
Yeah.
Attentiveness. I mean, once again, basic shit. Just have all your pads for them and for yourself.
Yes.
Test everything. Explain everything.
Yeah.
See if they like attention, if they don't like attention. I also don't believe in coddling actors. A lot of people coddle them. They're not precious. They're adults. They can handle things. So
For sure.
I feel like it's important to treat people like how you want them to treat you.
Yes.
Like, I don't like when people treat me like I'm precious and they're, placating to me. Ultimately, I feel like people like to have a good conversation and be normal.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good to just,
They're just people.
they're just
like
people.
everyone
Just treat
else.
them humbly.
For sure.
Don't kiss the ring.
Yes.
Just, we're all here doing a job.
Yeah, definitely. I've found I really admire the way that you teach actors too. Like, you're very clear, succinct, and to the point, and encouraging, but not too much as well. It's very,
And also, I feel like I've seen this a lot. And once again, always teaching styles are very different. But I've seen some people teach where, because they came from a martial arts background, so they're trying to teach how they taught in the dojo. No, you need to rep it out, blah, blah, blah. Cool. That can work for some people. And other people, it could be as simple as, because they don't understand the concept, they were never a martial artist.
yes.
So it's very confusing, it's very foreign. Or you can be like, hey, you know what? So you got this bow staff, right? I want you to spin it. Cool. So you're a server, you're holding a tray. I want you to serve it this way, and I want you to serve it that way. I want you to serve it while you spin 360 to look here, and you want to bring it over there to that person. So you go, whoop, whoop, and you go here, bang. And they're like, oh, yeah, I totally got that. Great. Cool. Do that now, look fierce. Great. Moving on. Also, there's your light sources.
Yeah, amazing. So good. It's just such good information that you're giving the viewers. I think it's really important, and it's really hard to find people who share this. I feel as well. You've been around for so long in the industry, doing so much and experienced so much that it's a real privilege to have you.
Shut your...
here.
You've done as long
really
as
love
I
it.
have.
No.
Jeez Louise.
But thank you so much, Tara, for coming in. Very grateful.
Thank you for having me.
And is there anything else that you would that you can think of that you'd like to leave with for anyone out there that, you know, keen as a bean to be stunt performers, you know? Any words of wisdom or encouragement?
Let me see. I think it's I think it's extremely important, even when you are working, to keep your fitness and your health as top priority. Ultimately, your body is your instrument, so keep your instrument at 100% because that's what makes you money.
Yes.
I know a lot of people that once they start working, they don't train anymore, they don't work out anymore, they don't take care of themselves, and then they're always injured. So you have all these dumb people being like, oh, well, you know, I can't do that because, you know, my hip, my back, my this, my that. I'm like, that's an old stigma because you think that stunt people are always broken. Well, why do you want to be a broken instrument? So I think it's really important to like heal those things and, you know, go to physical therapy, go get body work. You know, you're no use to anybody if you can't use your body.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself.
Maintain, right?
You know, like I know so many people who don't do that. And especially when it comes to women, not so much in Australia. In Australia, they're really good. In America, they're terrible. Women don't want to lift weights. They're scared that they're going to be too big.
Yeah,
you know, like, oh my God, I can't be fat. I don't want to lift the weights. My muscles are going to get too big. And, you know, but you need muscles to do your job.
Yeah.
And you need it to fall down. You need it to like for your whole bone density for your life. So training is super important. Not just learning some cool fight choreography, but actually training. Treat yourself like a professional athlete because in essence you are.
Definitely.
You know, and a lot of people don't. And so even when it comes to the weight, especially the women, when it comes to the weight, they would take weight personally. Treat weight like how a fighter trains to make weight.
Yes.
You got a job? Are you going to make weight? Do you have to be 10 pounds over, a fucking shred muscle? Or do you have to be a skinny hoe? And then also understand that there's so many actresses out there. You don't have to look like every one of them, but you can look like a few of them.
Yeah.
You know, so I have so many women that are like starving themselves on a treadmill every night because they just feel like, well, every actress is so skinny. I'm like, no, they're not. They're normal humans like everybody else.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that's also extremely important.
For sure. Because if you're starving yourself, you don't have the energy to build your skills that you need for set and build your body in a way that's going to be healthy and constructive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also 90% of the actors are professional liars, right? So when they tell the coordinator they weigh a certain weight, chances are they're probably 10 pounds heavier than that weight. So you're trying to make weight for this actress who lied and you show up to set and you're like, I'm so skinny. This bitch is like 20 pounds over. Why did I work so hard? Now think about these things, you know? So that's super important because I obviously been down that road. You're like, what? I trained so hard?
Yeah.
Like son of a gun.
And you can only learn that through experience.
Or conversely, you work with actresses and on the job they start dropping mad weight because they want to look skinny. You're like, motherfucker. But they don't want to eat, but they have no energy on camera. And it was like, hey, Tara, can you give her more energy? And you're like, she is starving herself. And so you just go there and you're like, yo, I got some M&Ms or I have pretzels. What do you need? You want some protein? Because you start eating, they're like, oh man, that looks good. Like you need this.
Yeah.
This is, you know, treat yourself like an athlete and, you know, common sense.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much for everything, Tara.
Thank you.
There's so many gems that you've given us, and I'll be writing stuff down so that I can try and implement some of these things in my stunt practice too. So, yeah, I love it.
You're G.
But yes, thank you so much.
Also, I think it's important to seek out people that you respect and you want to like learn from.
Yeah.
So I work all over the place. I've been very blessed to like work all over the world, with all over the teams, right? So everywhere I go, I have to immediately, my first week there, set up my ecosystem so I can succeed. So I find like the best gyms in town so I can work out. Yeah. I find the best trainer in town so I can like not die. And like the best martial artist so I can just get gems of wisdom everywhere I go. So I'm still increasing my knowledge and my skill set. Yeah. And it's not left because now I'm working on a job for 6 months.
For sure. You make your community wherever you are, right?
Yeah. Like maybe I find the best yoga instructor and I'm like, oh, I love this practice. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. You know? I do. Yeah. I do see you doing that everywhere you go. Like it is a really good piece of advice for sure.
I mean, I did retro sweat in Sydney. You know, I did my 80s aerobics dance class. And we had Alexa.
Yeah.
You know, all the things. We had Nino and Adelaide.
It's so great.
You know, Ian Street's in the UK.
Yeah.
So.
There's a world of amazing people out there. You just got to go find them, right?
And also, I can blab on for days. Also, I think it's really important there's something that does happen when you work a lot, and it's a burnout where you literally get burnt out. Whether if you're around the same people for too long, you're on the same show for too long, and artistically you're not satisfied, physically you're not satisfied, and you're tired, and you're energetically drained. So it's important to do stuff for yourself, not also in like a health sense, like going to the spa, which I love, but also an artistic sense. I was working on this one job in the UK, and I was just getting drained every single day. And I was like, I need to fall in love with like martial arts again. So, you know, met up with Ian, and I was doing stuff that was just brought me joy. I need to like creatively feel fulfilled. So then I started like every weekend producing like ridiculous photo shoots for myself, because I was like, I feel like I'm bringing some really good artists from different fields, like from like high fashion photography, from like some horse thing, and I'll create ridiculous photo shoots, because then I feel like I'm doing something that fulfills me, not just going to work and punching in a card, you know?
Definitely.
And it has nothing to do with work. It's just because it makes me happy.
For sure. There's breaking that cycle is so important, because work can become so all-encompassing.
Yeah.
Find something that you love. Find something outside of work that gives you joy.
Yeah. And it can be work-related, like it's still in film, but it's not the job you're currently on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Amazing.
Very important.
Yay! Thank you so much, Tara.
You're welcome.
You're a legend.
Oh, also, last thing.
Keep going.
Shut up.
I love it.
Whenever you work on location, or you're, and this once again goes back to common sense. Be active in the community you're in. Like, don't just be an isolated person. Like, meet the locals, make friends. It just enriches your experience over wherever you are, right? So, like, now you have a lifelong friend here. You learn something, and you know, it makes your time way more entertaining, because you're just open to experiences and people.
Yeah, definitely. Don't just huddle yourself into a little apartment and just be a recluse, right?
And just, you know, social media scroll all day. Don't do that.
Yeah, just get out there and live life.
You know?
Yeah.
Go for a morning walk. It's important.
Jump in the sea.
Jump in the sea.
Yeah, you're a legend.
Yeah, do your facial. Okay. Almost done.
Go.
It's super important. Sunblock. So much water. Leave your face alone. Leave it alone. Very important.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone. You look good the way you are. Just sunblock, water, hide from the sun.
Yeah.
Very important.
Thanks so much, Tara.
You're welcome. I would cheers, but it's all done.
Yeah, I know. We'll be drinking more after this.
Yes.
You're a legend.
You're a legend.